Okay, we can begin now. Salam, namaste, adab, and a big warm welcome to all of you present here today. I welcome you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be on all of you. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Health is not valued until sickness comes, and in our case, a pandemic. Thus, the topic of our 2 days online event, Health is Now Trending. This 2 days online event is organized by Center for Skill Development, a unit of the noble and famous Anjuman-e-Himayat-e-Islam, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, in collaboration with the recently founded TBLC, the Boss Ladies Club. A little about CSD. Every woman is a powerhouse that the Almighty has created, though the power mostly remains untapped and unutilized. Center for Skill Development is a unit of Anjuman-e-Himayat-e-Islam and is a gift to those women who want to unleash the power within by learning a skill and enriching their lives and that of their families. Most of the participants here today, I presume, are educated, graduates with a fairly good knowledge of handling technology and social media. But have you ever wondered how well you are prepared to get a job or start a business? According to the World Economic Forum, machines will rule workplace and machines will displace human work by 2025. With the advent of novel coronavirus and the social distancing norms, we are witnessing a rapid shift into the digital world. Schools and colleges have resorted to digital learning. People are working from home using their computers. Business meetings, governments and private organizations meetings are now held through digital portals, as you all know. The regular skill training courses that CSD provides are Tally and GST, Photoshop and CorelDRAW, web designing, web development, certificate in computer application, basics in computer and beauty therapy that are conducted for only 2 months and make you a skilled person. Most of the students get decent jobs within 2 months of training, and some of them even start their own businesses. Team CSD is waiting impatiently to open their doors to introduce new training in digital marketing, e-commerce, artificial intelligence, CRM, customer relations management, and diploma in entrepreneurship. The mission of CSD is to train women in employable entrepreneurial skill sets to enable a life with socio-economic dignity, and their tagline, giving wings to fly. Now a little about TBLC, the Boss Ladies Club. Founded by a small group of young women with a vision and mission of changing the world for the better with women power. The TBLC is a secular platform welcoming women from all walks of life, all communities, all religions, all schools of thought, all nationalities from all around the world, with no bias or extremism. They look to host online and offline events throughout the year on topics ranging from anything and everything under and beyond the stars that will help us realize our full potential, push us towards growth, make us better human beings, and most importantly, awaken the boss lady within. A big shout out to CSD and TBLC for organizing this event. I am proud to say that I am part of both these beautiful and powerful organizations who are setting a wonderful and a visionary example for women all around the world. I am Fazila Fatima, your host for the event. We shall start with today's topic, women's health, especially during a pandemic. We women have endless doubts and questions when it comes to our health and our body. As women, we go through innumerous changes right from birth until our death. And of late, we have found a new doctor. Any doubts, any queries, we immediately go to this newfound doctor named Dr. Google. And what the biggest nemesis of our real life doctors. And no matter what question or queries you ask Dr. Google's end result will be cancer or death. So tackling that, introducing to you our real life hero, a real life doctor, especially during this pandemic, Dr. N. Nikhat Nasreen. She has done her MBBS, Masters in Surgery, Diplomat in National Board in Obstetrics and Gynecology, MNAMS, a consultant obstetrician, a gynecologist, and a laparoscopic surgeon. She has been an assistant professor at Sri Balaji Medical College, Krompet, Chennai, an associate consultant in obstetrics and gynecology at Padma Clinic and Nursing Home, Keelpok, Chennai, and at present is a consultant obstetrician and a gynecologist at Apollo Hospital, Tondiarpet, and Apollo Women's Hospital, Greaves Road, Chennai. She has addressed various national and international conferences. It is an honor to welcome you, ma'am. I now request Dr. N. Nikhat Nasreen to address our audience.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Fazila, is it audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're very clear.
Okay. Thank you for your nice and kind words of introduction. I would like to thank Anjuman and your Boss Club for giving me this opportunity. Okay. During this negative times and during this hard times, I think I would try to bring some positivity among all women. Okay. Can you just proceed with the topic?
Yes, we can, ma'am. You can please tell me when you like me to put on the PPT, I shall.
You can just start with the PPT.
All right, okay.
Good slide share. Okay, today's topic will be regarding all common gynae issues and about little bit about COVID. Not about COVID. I'm not going to bore you with too much of negative things about COVID. There are so many gynec problems, like which you think some normal physiological things which people think as problem and go and search of doctors, like they go hospital to hospital during this pandemic, which is not at all needed. You just go there for a simple problem and you will catch up the coronavirus and end up in the hospital again with a more bigger problem. To avoid you visiting to the hospital frequently and to clear all your doubts, I'm here to talk only about the common gynec problems and the common questions which the young and the reproductive age group usually have. Just proceed next. Okay, let us see what are the common gynae problems. The first thing which all like adolescent girls say is like menstrual disorders, then vaginal discharge, then pelvic pain or abdominal pain, backache, and polycystic ovarian disease. I know it's a big problem running now. Then uterine fibroids, then high risk pregnancy. Now all pregnancies have become high risk. Let us see why is it so. Okay, next. Okay, first, like before knowing the abnormal menstrual period, we should know what is normal. Many people don't know what is normal. The normal 3 to 6 day cycle, like normal cycle is usually, it will last for 3 to 6 days and it will have like about some 30 to 35 ml of blood loss. And the usual cycle length will be 21 to 35 days. Cycle length means they'll get the periods once in 21 days or 35 days. Up to 21 and 35 is normal. Few people, what they do, as soon as they miss their cycle for 2 days or 3 days, they get panic and they start thinking that they have abnormal periods. No, not at all. Like 3 weeks to 5 weeks is normal. You can please wait for the periods up to 35 days and then you can proceed with the treatment. Next. Okay, a heavy menstrual bleeding. You know what happens is like all girls, no, like school going girls and the like adolescent girls and even the college boys, what they do is whenever they get the period, they just say, I have heavy bleeding. I have heavy bleeding. Is it so? Not all bleedings are not heavy. Whenever they just start getting the period, day one, they start saying that the bleeding is heavy. No, that's why the National Institute of Clinical Excellence has described what is a heavy menstrual bleeding. The normal bleeding for me will be the same amount of bleeding will be heavy for someone else, and the like abnormal thing for someone else will be normal for me. Okay, let us see how does they define it. It is excessive menstrual blood loss. Previous slide. It is the excessive menstrual blood loss which interferes with the women's physical, emotional, social, and material quality of life, and which can occur alone or in combination with other symptoms. That is, a bleeding which affects your quality of life is abnormal. Next slide. All bleedings are not heavy. Okay, what are the common causes of heavy bleeding? I don't want to bore you with much of theory. It's just some ovulation problem or some bleeding disorders or some fibroid or cancer. Cancer is not that common. It mostly occurs in aged women, so you need not panic. First, common things first. We should think only about the common things first. Please, next slide. Next slide. Okay, what does this bleeding do? Heavy bleeding, what does it do? It causes anemia. Anemia is the reduced hemoglobin level. Then next is, like during bleeding, they can have severe pain, that's called dysmenorrhea, and limitation of activities, then worsening of quality of life, as I had already told you, then influence on social aspects and psychological aspects. Next. So the main thing is anemia. In India, half of them are already anemic. Next slide. Okay, so let us see what is the treatment for it. The first thing is, during periods, if you have a heavy bleeding or if you are a known case of anemia, you can take some rest during your bleeding phase. And for the anemia, what is the first line of management is good diet, iron-rich diet. Then hematinics is nothing but iron syrup or tablet. Then we can go for iron injection. Last is blood transfusion. So first thing is diet. What can we do at home if you have increased bleeding, or just any female after they attain puberty? All mothers can follow this diet. What is like the iron rich diet? Let us see. You can give your daughter pomegranate juice or a beetroot juice, then liver, mutton liver if you're a non-vegetarian, then spinach, tomatoes, bananas, legumes, nuts, and grains are rich in iron. Not only that, the important and the first foremost is dates. Why I said that in last is, I need to talk little about it. What you can do is buy dates every day morning. Even if you're not anemic, 5 to 7 dates a day can just give your daughter after puberty, because it prevents anemia and it's also good for health. What Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said is, when you have 7 dates in the morning, the whole day you are being protected from like diseases and also from poison or any curse. Next one. Mainly assurance and sympathetic handling are helpful for the adolescent girls. Next. Okay, PCOD, like so many like IT people, they just come to me for master checkup at Apollo. Everyone who like unmarried girls come to my OP and they just start with the first line. What they start is, doctor, I have PCOD. Doctor, I have PCOD. It has become a fashion for everybody to say that they have PCOD, and out of 100, only 1 or 2 will say they don't have PCOD. Why is it? Why does it occur? It's not their fault. Like most of the adolescent girls' ovary will have multiple cysts. PCOD is nothing but multiple polycystic ovaries. That means multiple small cysts in their ovaries. Poly means many cysts in the ovary. So when they go for an ultrasound for an adolescent girl, the normal ovary will look like a multiple cyst will be there. So it will look like a polycystic ovaries. So the radiologist will give the report as polycystic ovary. For an adolescent girl, polycystic ovary is normal. But for a reproductive age group, it is abnormal. They don't think about all those things. When they just see the report, they brand themselves as like suffering from polycystic ovarian disease. Not at all. Apart from the ultrasound features, there are many other features. Only by that you can be called as having like polycystic ovarian disease. In this, what happens is, They have excess estrogen, that is female hormones, and excess male hormones, leading to absence of ovulation and infertility. Next. Okay, next time when you see a fat young girl, please don't criticize her because she might be in need of a medical help. Okay, you just see whether she's gaining weight rapidly, or is she troubled by her facial hair, acne, and irregular menstrual periods. If she is married, why can't she become pregnant? She may be a victim of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Next. Next. Okay, we will see why to worry about this polycystic ovaries. 5 to 10% of the reproductive age group are being affected by this common endocrine disorder. This all occurs because of the increasing fast changes in the lifestyle and stress. Most frequent cause of infertility is polycystic ovarian disease, and it is also strongly associated with diabetes and heart diseases and hypertension. Next. Okay, only when you have all these features, you can be called as having polycystic ovarian disease, and not just by the ultrasound finding. So if you don't have amenorrhea, means if you don't get periods, or oligo means reduced period. If you have absent periods or reduced period, or you have once in 4 months or once in 3 months period, then it is abnormal. Then infertility. Androgen, I told, androgen is male hormone. If you have excess of male hormone, it will lead to hirsutism, acne, alopecia, or baldness. I'll tell in detail in the coming slides. Then insulin resistance, you'll have acanthosis nigricans and obesity. Next slide. I'll just tell you what these are. Okay, hirsutism means male pattern facial hair growth. Can see the image. Then next is acne. Acne is nothing but pimples. Then baldness. You'll have male pattern baldness. This all occurs because of the increased male hormone. Next. They have acanthosis nigricans. That's nothing but some black color, like pigmentation over the nape of the neck, inner thigh, and axilla. Axilla is armpit. Due to insulin resistance. Don't think it's because of the chain that you wear. This is insulin resistance, acanthosis nigricans. Next. Okay. So what is the main, what are the treatments? See, for obese PCOS ladies will be mostly obese. First thing is weight loss, exercise. Then last resort is only anti-obesity drugs and surgery. Then for the acne or the facial hair, what we can do is we give some hormone treatments. Apart from that, you can go for a laser treatment. Then even threading, and also with the trimmer, you can remove the hair. No problem. But with hormones, it will take time for it to resolve. Then for infertility and the irregular bleeding, we give some hormones. You need not know about it. Doctor will take care of all those things. For you, mainly weight loss, exercise, and you can go for cosmetic like laser vaporization. Then next one. Okay, the first thing for PCOD is first line of management is weight loss. Please believe me. Just don't go to doctor and just start taking hormonal tablets for it, because once you take hormonal tablet, then you start getting some side effects, and it is not at all needed. Only when you have some married and you're having infertility and you're in a pressure of having children, or you're married for 1 year and you don't have kids, then we can go for a treatment. Initial thing is weight loss. Without weight loss, don't jump on getting pregnant, because in pregnancy you'll be gaining more 15 kg weight and it's going to still harm you. Okay, weight loss, what all you can do is you should have a plan, long-term weight loss plan. Then regular monitoring by a dietitian or weight loss clinic will help you and motivate you. Increasing physical activity like walking, jogging, or swimming if you can, or else you can do all this in a group of 2 to 3 ladies for motivation, and then only you'll be continuing. Or else if you don't, during this COVID period, you're not able to form a group, what you can do is just on your YouTube, see some exercises, and you can start doing, so that you just keep doing. But when you don't see a YouTube, or if don't have a friend with you while doing exercise, what you'll do, you'll just do it for 2 days and you will stop. After that, you'll stop doing it. Then avoid junk foods. Just 5% of weight loss, you'll start ovulating and you'll become pregnant very easy. Next one. Next slide. So PCOD is treatable. Just by 5% weight loss, nearly 40 to 50% of them will start ovulating and they will conceive easily without any high-end treatments. Then restricted calorie diet leads to improved menstrual regularity and fertility and insulin sensitivity. You need to take low glycemic food. But I told you dates is very good for anemia, but dates is also a high glycemic food. That means it has very high sugar content. So it is not advisable for uncontrolled diabetics, but for young girls, it is the best best diet to improve your anemia. Okay, a low glycemic diet focuses on replacing the starchy foods such as white bread or potatoes with low starch foods such as whole grains, berries, and beans. You have to integrate fitness into your daily routine. Moderate intensity exercise for 2 to 3 times a week is great place to start with. Like, what is moderate intensity? Just 30 minutes exercise 2 to 3 times a week is enough to start with. You can do walking, cycling, or jogging. It's up to you. Then a diet change and exercise, like incorporating both into your daily routine, will be challenging, but it can improve your symptoms. Next. Okay, then white discharge. I know everybody have white discharge. They just say, they say, yeah, doctor, I have white discharge. So all white discharge is abnormal? No, not at all. First of all, you should know what is a physiological white discharge. During ovulation and before your menses, all ladies will have some sort of white discharge. It is normal. Please don't go to doctor just because you have a white discharge. When is the white discharge abnormal? Yes, when you have itching and you're not able to sleep. The itching is disturbing you so much that you always keep itching in the night and in the morning, and it's disturbing your quality of life and not able to sleep. Another is foul smelling. Whenever you pass urine or you go to restroom, you're able to get a foul. If you're getting a foul smell, then it is abnormal. Other than that, please don't go and consult your doctor just if you have a white discharge, which is all because of the hormonal changes in your body and more common among the adolescent and reproductive age group. Then one more thing, initial step what we should do for white discharge is, first, all ladies, my sincere advice is like wear 100% cotton panties. Then don't use hot water to wash your genital area, that is your private parts. Please don't use very hot water to wash the area, because the hot water, what it does is it destroys the normal protective cells present in your genital region, and it causes some abrasions and laceration through which the infection can easily enter inside your body. So and don't use any talc or creams. What did I tell you? 100% cotton panties. Then no hot water. Few people think when they wash frequently with hot water, they are very clean. It's not the thing. Please use the normal water for washing. Okay, next thing. Then if you have a recurrent white discharge, it is because of diabetes or stress. So please check your sugar level. If you are and if you have a recurrent white discharge, if you go to your doctor, they'll be giving you few creams and few pessaries to be kept inside your genital region. Even after keeping that, if your white discharge is still present, then you need to go for a sugar test. The next one is backache. I know backache is a common problem for all ladies after delivery. You know what ladies do is like they attribute it to the cesarean section and to the spinal anesthesia which is being given for the cesarean section in the spine. As a needle with a needle will just give the anesthesia. It is not at all attributable to it. Please understand that first. It is because of the weight gain in pregnancy. After pregnancy, you will gain at least 5 to 10 kg. That weight gain along with the posture change. You would have seen after delivery, your spine, everything, the normal posture will become curved. That is the reason for your back strain and your backache, not because of the not because of the spinal anesthesia. Okay, back, it's a common problem. What happens is muscle, maybe because of muscle strain, wrong posture. Uh, First, sit in a chair straightly. Don't like bend, or just when you just bend and sit, you'll obviously get a back pain. Then lifting heavy weights and too much of work or long sitting time. Not only too much work, even a long sitting time will create backache. Then pelvic inflammatory disease. Pelvic inflammatory disease is the severe form of white discharge infection, which causes backache. So if you have a backache and a foul smelling, itchy white discharge, please consult the doctor. Yeah, next one. I know this is also a cause for your back pain nowadays. More than the students, we parents are more eager, checking their notes, attending the classes. Please don't be behind them. What will you do when they go to school? Will you be running behind them? No. Leave them free, relax. Everything will become normal in few months. Next. Okay, these are the simple home stretching exercises I would like to just tell you, because now you cannot go to a physiotherapist or gym now. See, what we do is everybody we wake up early in the morning for namaz or fajr. After fajr, the same floor, what you can do, just do the first one is the namaz posture. Just bend forwards, and you can see the photo, no? Just like that for 20 seconds. Count, then just relax, sit straight. Then again you go to that posture, and same 5 cycles you do that. Then second is back extension. Same, even this for 5 cycles, all the exercise for 5 cycles, lasting for 20 seconds each. Then next is the glute bridge. Then the cat and the cow posture. If you don't understand, you can even Google and find out how they do this. So after Fajr namaz, all ladies, please allot some 10 to 15 minutes for yourself, for your health, and just do this small stretches. Next, and also have a glass of milk. Only when you have milk in your early ages, like 30 or till 40 years, your calcium level is going to improve. If you're going to have after your bones become weak after 60 years, it's of no use. So prevention is better than cure. From now, you need to start doing all these things. Okay, next is hypothyroid. Any obese girl, like, she thinks that she's having thyroid problem. No, not at all. So when you have these set of symptoms, only you can be called as hypothyroid. So everybody say, I think I have thyroid, that's why I become fat. No, it's not the thing. Maybe because you're locked down, you're at home, you're fat. So when you have all these things, only you have thyroid. And thyroid is a treatable disease. You need not be afraid. You just give some medicines every day morning, you just have to take, and you will be all right. Nothing to worry. Okay, it's not a big problem. You'll have hair loss, mood changes, fatigue, and weight gain, and menstrual disturbance, and joint pain, and constipation, dry skin, and cholesterol maybe high, or you'll have some swelling in your neck, and you'll always feel cold. Next. Okay, high risk pregnancy. Nowadays, already told, 10 pregnant ladies come, 9 of them have high risk pregnancy because they are obese or have hypertension, diabetes, something or the other they have. Like, only one lady will be okay without any disease. So when she doesn't have any disease, we'll just keep checking, we just reconfirm whether it's really true that is the situation now. So why it all happens, not only in working women and also in housewives, it happens. It's because the stress and the late marriage. So women nowadays are so ambitious and career oriented. Good that you have to be like that, but you cannot be marrying late, like after 30 years or 40 years. Or even if they get married, you know what they do? They say they're planning their pregnancy, and they just delay for 2 to 3 years. After that, they'll end up in infertility. Because after 35 years, they eventually end up in diabetes because of their family history. Then they end up in infertility. Long hours of work or night shifts, which disturbs your normal hormonal cycle. Then junk foods. I need not say, after all this online thing, no, you all are, I know all are taking only junk foods, but you can at least reduce the thing. Then smoking, then few people know they smoke and drink, not everybody. Then stress related hypertension and diabetes. An ideal age for conceiving is between 21 to 30 years. Teenage pregnancy is also a high risk pregnancy, please avoid that. And also not advisable to get pregnant after 30 years. You already have first baby, and if you're for second baby, if you're like getting pregnant after 30 years, that's okay, but not for your first baby. Then conceiving after 35 years leads to complications, already told you. Next. Next. Okay, fibroids. You'd have heard so many people saying that I have fibroid, I have a cyst, I have a like a tumor or something. Fibroid is nothing, it's non-cancerous, it's nothing to worry. If it's just less than 3 centimeter and if it's not causing heavy bleeding, you need not worry about it at all. Why I put this slide is same thing like PCOS. These all these people who come for master health checkup from your companies, or the working women, because they have free master health checkup, they just take all these ultrasounds every year. What they do, they come up with a 1 centimeter fibroid, 2 centimeter fibroid, and are so worried that they can't become pregnant, or whether it is cancerous. So many questions they just ask regarding it. That's why I put this slide. Fibroids are nothing. Need not worry if you don't have increased bleeding or severe pain during the bleeding, during your periods, and if the size is less than 3 centimeter, please you need not worry at all. And one more thing about fibroid is those days in mummies, no, they have done so much of postmortem and all those not postmortem, they have just seen the mummies, the mummy's uterus and all. They have found out that 80% of the mummies had fibroids. What does it mean? It's a normal hormonal tumor which occurs in 80% of the women. So you need not be afraid. Even in pregnancy, few sonologists, what they do, they give normal intrauterine pregnancy with 2 centimeter fibroid. As soon as the patient sees the report, she's afraid that she'll abort or something. No, not at all. Only if it is like inside your uterus and it is like more than 3 or 5 centimeter, it's going to disturb your pregnancy. Next. Okay, breast cancer. After 30 years, every woman should go for a mammogram. Even if you're not able to go for a mammogram, mainly for like those who have a lump or those who have a family history of breast cancer, it's compulsory for you to go there. Now, during this COVID time, what you can do is, need not go, if you're like 30, you just need not go to hospital and take a mammogram. What simple things that we can do is, after every period, after every menstrual cycle, day 4 or day 5, in front of the mirror, the same, I think you can see the photo, just raise your hands and check whether your breast has not suddenly increased in size. One thing. Next, while like taking bath or something, or while lying down, you can palpate and feel your breast and see whether there is some lump. Not before your periods, all breast will be tender. Tender means they'll have pain before period when you touch, and some lumpy feeling will be there. So after your period, I will advise all ladies above 30 years to examine your breast and see whether there is some lump or any milk discharge. If you're not feeding, you should not have milk discharge. You can examine self. It's called self breast examination. This is to rule out breast cancer. When you find some lump, then you can immediately go and approach your doctor and go for a mammogram. Next. Next. Next is cervical cancer. This is the commonest cancer all over the world. Is the commonest cancer causing deaths. Cervix is nothing but a part of the uterus, the exterior portion of the uterus. This cancer is very common, but it is not that common in Muslims. Because of circumcision, because of practice of circumcision, it's not that common in Muslims. But what has to be done, what is the protocol? I'll just say, once in 3 years you need to go for a pap smear test, because the screening test is very cheap, easily available, cost effective. Better to go for a pap smear test every 3 years. But now during this COVID, you can avoid this if you don't have any recurrent abnormal discharge or abdominal pain or intermenstrual bleeding, that is bleeding in between your normal periods. Next. Okay, what is the impact of COVID on women? Now we are going to see like little about COVID. across every sphere, from health to the economy, security to social protection. The impact of COVID-19 are exacerbated for women and girls is simply by virtue of their sex. Next. Okay, the 7 issues what the UN has put in front is 7 issues affecting women and girls during COVID are: first, economic sector. In economic sector, what happens is higher rates of job loss. For everybody, there is job loss, but for women, what happens when they don't have job now? They are reduced financial independence uh, and future prospects. Then greater burden of domestic and care work at home. They have, because the children are at home, many women are not able to go to work now, and they take leave or they leave the job now and they stay at home. That is a big financial burden for them. Same time, domestic help is not being shared by the other members of the family, and it's a burden for the women. Next, in the healthcare system, 70% of the frontline health workers are women, because the housekeeping, you would have seen, most of them are women. Nurses, more than 90% are women. So there's increased risk for frontline health workers for COVID. If they get COVID, just think how will they look after their family. Then reduced access to vital health services during this period. Even pregnant ladies are having many problems during this period. So that is the impact. Then the health and well-being sector, like increased risk of pregnancy related diseases and teenage pregnancy. Of late, we are seeing so many teenage pregnancies, and then all those rapes, everything is happening. You have seen in newspaper, and so much of domestic violence. It's because husband and wife both are at home all the time. When they just finish their office work, they just start arguing or start fighting, that in front of the children. That's what is happening now. Like and also not only domestic, also the sexual, physical, and also physical exploitation. Next. Next. Okay, what we should ensure for the mental health of the elderly is spend quality time with your family and get involved in the discussion with them. Because before this COVID, elderly at our house, they'll be going to like mosque for prayer, or else they'll be going out for walking. Now they can't go out. At least they will go and talk with their neighbors. But see, now in this time, even they are mentally affected. So please spend some time with them. Involve them in your daily activities like gardening, cleaning, and cooking. Then connect to spend some time on recreational activities such as board game, music, reading, and read books with them. Then connect to loved ones through phone or video calls. Many ladies, I know, they have not, because of lockdown, have not gone to their mother's place. And so what you can do is every day you can call them and speak to them in video call. Like, make some time for exercise, because your health is also important. Make some time for exercise and physical, not only your physical health, and also for your mental health. You can do some meditation. Cut down listening to news. Even in my previous many TV programs, I would have said this. Please don't listen to too much of news. Will create anxiety and lead to depression. Please avoid news. What you can do, if you need to know about the COVID census or something, just seek information from credible sources like the health ministry websites. Next. Okay, I'll just touch upon COVID and pregnancy. You need not panic at all. You need not panic at all. Yes, pregnancy is a immunodeficient or immunosuppressed state, but all pregnant ladies fortunately are young, so they can easily overcome it. Next. Oh, does it affect the fetus? No, it is not going to affect the fetus. It's not going to cause any anomaly in the fetus. It's not teratogenic. Next. Okay, about ultrasound, you need not go to the hospital like previous, like before 4 months and all. Like, what doctor used to do is first initially every 2 months ultrasound, then monthly, then 15 days ultrasound and all we used to take. Because now it is not at all advisable. The two main ultrasounds are 12-week ultrasound and 20-week ultrasound. 12-week is to rule out the Down syndrome, and 20-week is to rule out the anomalies. Why I'm saying this is, I'll just tell one small incident what happened. Like 2 months ago in private hospital, they weren't admitting any COVID. I'm just talking about that time. Like I know 2 to 3 pregnant ladies, they were infected with COVID just because during deliveries they were like going for ultrasound and the blood test to so many hospitals, because all the scan centers were closed that time. They were going to hospital, they're doing doctor shopping, and many doctors were not available, some time back. So because of this, they got COVID. And what happened is, at the end, that time the private hospitals were not open, so they had to go to government hospitals, somehow deliver there. So to avoid all this, what you can do is avoid multiple ultrasounds unless advised by your doctor. The main ultrasounds are 12 week and 20 weeks. Next slide. Apart from that, even the number of visits to the hospital has to be reduced. That your gynecologist will take care, she will advise you. Teleconsultation is best. There are so many, I cannot mention the name. There are so many teleconsultations app available. If you have any minor doubts, you can connect your doctor through the app, or else if she has given you her phone number, you can please connect her through your phone. Okay, the best thing is fetal kick count is the best at any consultation. When you go to a hospital, doctor will hear the heartbeat through a stethoscope or a Doppler, or look for the heartbeat through a ultrasound. What happens is, when you go for a checkup, that ultrasound is will show only the present scenario. That one day's like viability, or it's just guaranteed for only for that moment or that day, not for the entire month. So every day morning you need to after breakfast, you can just sit and count till you get 10 kicks, or 10 fetal movements, till you're able to feel 10 fetal movements. Please write it in a chart and keep. That is known as fetal kick count. This is the best predictor, more than any ultrasound or any doctor. This is the best thing. Every day please check for the fetal movements. I know initially it's not possible, at least after 5th or 6th month. Next. After 28 weeks, it is the crucial period. All pregnant women has to be very careful, because you are nearing the delivery. If you are a working woman, what you can do is, if possible, take leave, or you can opt or request your higher authorities to post you in some other place where you don't face so many people every day. For example, if you are a secretary in your in a hospital, you can ask them, request them for some other job, like some data handling or some just record writing or something. You can just, or else if you have leave, please take leave after 28 weeks, because after 28 weeks your immune level is little bit low. Okay, then avoid using public transport to hospital. You can go in your private vehicle. Then wear mask while you go to hospital. After coming home, please take bath and do throat gargling with salt water. Next. Okay, now little about the general diet things I just mentioned. There is no vaccine or no proven home remedy or medicine as of now, but there are things to improve your immunity. But there, as of now, there is no treatment for COVID. So at least we'll see what we can do to improve our healthy immune system, so that you can safeguard not only from other diseases and also from corona. Next. Okay, every day you can add yogurt in your diet. It's a probiotic. It produces good bacteria in your body, helps to fight against the bad germs. Next. Then turmeric. It's a golden spice, turmeric is a good antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. It aids in wound healing and infection. Instead of mixing it in water, you can mix it in warm milk and take every day. Next. Fazila. Okay, then tulasi and garlic and ginger are some good antiviral food. It boosts immunity. What you can do is 4 to 5 leaves of tulasi, just heat it, and you can have strained water, and you can have it, and add little garlic and ginger in your diet. Next. Okay, vitamin C and D rich foods are will strengthen your immunity. Vitamin C is like rich is more in foods like citrus fruits and vegetables, amla, lemon, orange. Then vitamin D, you know, the best source of vitamin D is sunlight. At 11 o'clock or something, you can just go out and stand in sun for 2 to 3 minutes, or possible even for 10 to 15 minutes. Then egg yolk and mushrooms are a good source of vitamin D. Next, zinc rich diet like through cashews, pumpkin seeds, chickpeas, red meat, poultry, and milk. You can have zinc rich food. Next. Okay, for healthy lifestyle, I'll just summarize like balanced diet. Don't do binge eating because you're at home. Take plenty of fluids. Take fresh cut fruits and vegetables. Vitamin C and zinc. If not in food, at least you can take supplements. Avoid junk foods and sugar because it lowers your immunity. Sugar lowers your immunity. I'm repeating. The next is meditation and moderate exercise. Next. Okay, with this, I'm just going to end the presentation. You know, there's something called as Kubler-Ross grief curve. When there is some grief in a normal human being, or if someone dies in the family, this is the usual thing. What happens? The usual series of emotion. What happens is first shock. First we are shocked. Then denial. Denial, like we don't accept. We say no, he's still there. He's not died. Like it happened because of this, because of that. Then frustration. We start blaming each other. You didn't take him to hospital on time. That's why it happened. We just start blaming, and we're in frustration. Then our mood goes down, and we are into a kind of depression. Then after few days, what we do usually is start experimenting. We start to live without him and start adjusting. Then we take some decision. We learn what has to be done next. Then we just start mingling with new people, new atmosphere, or change the house or do something. Then integration is like changes which you can integrate to renew yourself as an individual. Same thing happened with the COVID. Initially, we were shocked to know that there's a new virus killing people. Then what we did, we started denying it. That, okay, it has come, but it's not going to come to India, not to come to our area, not going to infect me. Then when it started infecting your friends and your relatives, you were in frustration, you were angry. Then most of them went into depression. You know what happened, no? So many suicides and things because of this depression. Next, now we are in this normal human being now has to come in this blue line, that phase. We need to start experimenting, start resuming your work, start going to your office or something, maintain social distancing, wear mask, wash your hands frequently, and follow all these things, and take a decision that what you're going to do to prevent and protect your family. Then integration, you need to change yourself and start applying all this thing in your daily routine. That means COVID has become a new normal for us. So if you don't enter this blue line, and if you're stuck up in this depression, in the curve of depression or the emotion depression, what happens is this leads on to suicide. A normal human being has to pass on to the next step: experiment, decide, and integration. So please come out of this thing and be a new human being, and please accept that COVID is the new normal. Online classes are going to be here for next 6 months or 1 year. We are going to work from home. Please start accepting COVID as a new normal. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, are you ready for the new normal? Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was truly mind-blowing, I must say. We were the kind of all the tips and everything that you gave, mashallah, it was eye-opener for a lot of us, and all the queries that you addressed, all of us ask that, daily. There is something right from our periods to white discharge to women who are pregnant. All the issues you brilliantly handled. Thank you so much.
Many people don't know what is normal.
Yes, correct.
That's why I wanted to emphasize on what is normal.
Correct. I'm going to welcome Ms. Rana Fatima now. She's going to be hosting the question answer session. Our participants in their registration form asked questions to the doctor. So we request you to answer these questions. Ms. Rana Fatima will take over now.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Fazila.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Firstly, I want to
Assalamualaikum,
thank.
Nana.
Walaikum salam, ma'am. Firstly, I want to thank Dr. Nikat for joining our event today. And it's a pleasure to have you here with us, ma'am. And the session was very helpful and informative. We came to know a lot of general things such the issues which our ladies and women are currently facing during this pandemic. And also, audience, like our doctor told us, if we have a stronger immune system, we can overcome any type of disease. And we need to increase our immune system with the food and the vitamins that our doctor recommended us. So going on to the question and answer session, we got 60 plus questions in our registration form from a lovely audience. We are so happy to present all the questions to our doctor today now. Since we have more the same type of questions from all the young and teenage women, I will be representing the question pertaining the age group. So we'll start with the teenagers, where the major problem is about menstruation, which is commonly common nowadays. The first question is how to get rid of menstrual cramps and follow hygiene during menstruation.
Like your voice is breaking. It's not that clear. Like Fazila's like.
Can you hear me now?
Just repeat the question, no? How to maintain menstrual hygiene?
How to get rid of menstrual cramps and follow
Okay.
hygiene during menstruation.
Okay. See, before menstruation, 1 week before menstruation, all ladies will have some heaviness in the breast and some abdominal cramps. That is very much normal in like normal for reproductive age group ladies. It's all because of the hormonal changes. So you need to like start living with it and accept it unless it affects your quality of life. If it affects your quality, that means you're not going to able to go to college or your office, then there are certain medicines to be taken for the pain relief. Every month during your period or whenever you get the pain, you can take 2 to 3 days, you can take those medicines. In the public forum, I cannot recommend medicines, but you can take those medicines. There are no side effects for the medicines. A very common medicine you all will be knowing. You take, I know all college girls take it, the same medicine. Like you can just take for 2 to 3 days. You can just take those things. It will not cause any side effect. Every month 2 to 3 days you can take it, because the like quality of life is more important than those like your parents or your grandmother. They'll say avoid taking medicines during periods, it will affect your fertility. Not at all, because these are not hormone medicines. You just control your pain, that's it. Okay, then menstrual hygiene is like you just need to keep 4 to 5 pads a day. Even if your bleeding is less, you need to change your pad every 6 to 8 hours maximum. Even if you are changing it every 4 hours, it's well and good.
So even the teenagers can take the tablets, ma'am?
Yeah, they can take. It's not going to harm you at all.
We also have like how to deal with PMS stress.
That is premenstrual syndrome. Premenstrual syndrome, I told like 10 to 15% of the girls will have premenstrual syndrome. That is heaviness of and breast pain and irritability, anger. They just start yelling at everybody at home. But the family members have to start understanding the girl and accept that it is not normal. And every month she's getting this before her period, and start adjusting with her and not shout back at her and make fun of her. Like, are you going to get a period? That's why are you shouting? No, please don't pass such comments. Understand, and like because it's more of psychological thing more than a disease. It is not a disease actually. 50% it occurs in the like college going girls and like working women. So it proves that it is psychological. Apart from that, there are certain vitamins and medicines for it to control the like symptoms.
Is there any food items that will reduce the heat in our body?
Heat in our body, yeah, you can take yogurt, curd you can take every day, and freshly prepared curd. That will be okay. And also it's a probiotic.
The next most asked question by a teenager is, I'm 19 years old. Should I need to take any test, and for what? And also, I use mobile phone before an hour going to bed, but still I have sleeplessness problem.
no. First half of the question, can you repeat?
Yes, ma'am. She's 19 years old and she's asking whether she needs to take any test and for what.
Test for what?
Normal test for
Normal.
19 years old.
No. She may not go for any investigations unless she gets married, and after 1 year, if she is like having any fertility issue, only you have to go to the doctor. Apart from that, please don't take any test. I already told you what is a normal period, what is a normal white discharge. If you're in that category, please don't visit a doctor at all.
And another girl, she asked that she goes to bed 1 hour before before without using a mobile phone, but still she has sleeplessness problem.
What she can do is, like, after her dinner, she can walk for half an hour and see, like, she can walk for half an hour and see whether she's able to sleep normally. Apart from that, maybe she's like stressed out or thinking about something, that's why she's having the sleeping disorder, and she needs to off her night lamp and like close the door and has to sleep in silence, and put her mobile into silence if possible, because even if she doesn't see her mobile, maybe this is going on in her mind, like who has messaged her or what's the thing. She'll, after 1 hour, what she'll do, every 1 hour people will on their mobile and see, as if whole night someone is messaging them or something. Okay, so need to keep it, if possible, keep the mobile in some other room and sleep.
And also how to get rid of constant headache. Should we take tablets?
You can just take the normal tablet. I told her I cannot say tablets. She can take tablets for headache. The normal headache tablets doesn't have any side effect. But if she has headache for more than a month or two, she needs to get some investigation done to rule out migraine or any such thing. If she's not able to tolerate the headache, she can go for further investigations. Or else it may be first causes tension headache. There's a big entity called as tension headache. That's because of lack of sleep or too much of stress and news and too much loud sounds in mobile speakers, and because of TV. Ask her to cut all those things. Even after that, if she's even after sleeping for 8 hours a day, if she's got headache, then she has to check her BP. If her blood pressure is normal, the next thing is she need to rule out migraine and some other disease in the brain. Go for investigations.
Okay. That's very well you explained, ma'am. Thank you so much. And the next question is from our women, followed by childbirth. How to lose weight and overcome surgeries after postpartum, and any medicines advised for hair growth after delivery.
Okay, in pregnancy the hair grows well.
Can you hear me?
Can ask, but your voice is comparatively low than hers. Like, I don't know. Just try to speak
I'll
louder.
try to talk louder, ma'am.
Try to talk louder. No? Like someone else also has sent in the group. Okay, it's okay, but I'm able to hear. See, the hair loss in pregnancy, what happens, because you take iron and calcium regularly in the pregnancy, and also because you don't have bleeding, no, you don't have normal bleeding, menstruation in the pregnancy. It all helps in the hair growth. Postpartum, that is after delivery, what happens, because of the blood loss, and if you don't take the supplements, iron supplements and calcium, you will have hair loss. And also because you're feeding the baby, you're losing energy and your strength. Yeah, you will have like, you can take iron tablets, or yeah. And for weight loss, what you can just start doing all sorts of exercise. If you're done some cesarean section, then you can start doing exercise after 1 or 2 months.
Oh, that's nice. The next question is, which everyone are facing, is I have wheezing problem. What should I do?
If you like, first for wheezing problem, you need to find out the cause, whether you're allergic to pollen or allergic to dust. First you need to like find out the cause. When you get the wheezing, cause means when you get the wheezing, she has to find out herself whether when she goes out or she gets exposed to like pollutants or something. If not, she needs to go for medicines. First we need to avoid the cause. Second thing is, there are few inhalers for it. More than the tablets, inhalers are the best. You need not have any social stigma to use the inhaler, because that's the best thing. The 90% of the medicine will directly go and act on the lungs, so she can use an inhaler regularly, and it's not going to mix in the blood or cause any side effects for her. Better than tablets.
And what Yes, ma'am. What should we do if we have sudden breathing problems?
COVID testing. If
COVID
you're yeah, if you're fine, and if you're fine, and if you don't have any comorbidities, suddenly if you have breathing, yeah, that's the first thing during this pandemic. Okay. Apart from that, see whether you have some cold or something, and you have anemia. Even in anemia, there will be breathing problem. Okay.
Even if we have low hemoglobin, will that also be an effect, ma'am?
Low hemoglobin, because the body is like trying to overcome. Body is weak and it's trying to overcome the low hemoglobin. That's why she will have dyspnea, that is difficulty in breathing. If she's like normal healthy women without any comorbidities, then COVID testing. Obviously, even if she doesn't have fever, because nowadays it is presenting in all different all new symptoms are there.
Okay. The next question is for our elders. How can we encourage our elders to exercise daily, and how to tackle joint pains?
Okay, for the joint pains, no, there are certain knee strengthening exercises. I cannot teach now. Like in YouTube, you can just put some knee strengthening exercises, and they can do that regularly. I'm 100% sure that within 1 week, the pain will decrease. And initially, for that 1 week, they can take some analgesics, that is some mild painkillers. As soon as they start the exercise, no, initially they'll have some pain. After 1 week, they'll be all right. If they have a severe pain, they need not do exercises. They need to take an X-ray and take further treatment. They have mild pain. What the exercise does is, the exercise strengthens the muscles around the joint. So the muscle does the function of the joint and supports the women for next 2 or 3 years. So exercise is the best solution. And walking, they can do walking. They can do walking. They can go to terrace and walk. And if no one is there in the terrace, they need not wear a mask and walk, because mask will cause hypoxia. So in the fresh air, they can just walk.
Okay. Your voice is a little breaking, ma'am.
Okay.
The next question is for our working boss ladies. We want to know the suggestions to maintain a good health for working women.
Okay, good health, I told you about the immunity increasing diet. I'm not going to repeat that. Now, next, what I'll say, if you're a working woman, what you can do is, like when you go out, please wear mask and cloth mask is enough for you. Double layer cloth mask. Then maintain social distancing. I told COVID is the new normal. You have to live with it. So social distancing hereafter for next 1 or 2 couple of years, that is the norm. And at office, like already government has said, reduced staff. No, like same thing you need to maintain. And no, don't go close to anyone. If you need to speak to anyone for more than 5 minutes, you can just call them. Even if they are sitting in front of you, they may think you're gone nuts. It's okay, just call them and speak. Don't go near anyone. And I know the office rooms will be very small. Come out of the room. Don't keep meetings inside your room. Please come out to the lounge or somewhere, sit, and then conduct meetings there. Many rightly, this question is a need of the hour, because I know many many office or hospital heads are being infected. The main reason is every day they are conducting meetings with the secretaries in the small cabin. So you can have meetings in the open area, and don't speak to anyone more than 2 minutes. Even if you speak to a COVID patient for 1 or 2 minutes, you'll not get infected if they just maintain a social distancing. And after coming home, please take bath immediately. If you have a restroom outside your house, well and good, or else the immediate room, whichever is inside your house, just go there, remove your clothes. You can just wash your clothes in the bathroom, or the detergent, just rinsing it in detergent for 2 to 3 minutes is enough to kill the virus. So you can have the detergent in your restroom, immediately put your clothes into it, and then put it into the washing machine. Take bath and have salt always in your bathroom, and do gargling. Salt water gargling, because the virus will stay in your nose and your throat for few hours. Even if you take bath and when you go near children, you'll transmit the virus to your kids. So immediately you can do a salt water gargling, or after coming out you can do steam inhalation. All this will kill the virus and you will not infect anyone. Yes.
Also, we see few women wearing the nose piece, using only the stole or the scarf instead of a mask. Is that okay?
If it's a double layer, if it's a double layer, okay, it's okay, but not single layer with a transparent dupattas or sari. No, it's not going to work out. At least double layer. You know,
We
actually, this
also-
mask, no, see, social distancing is the best thing. The mask, you know, why mask? Not because like some COVID patient, if they come and sneeze on you or cough on you, you are going to get infected if they come near you. So the first thing is social distancing. Okay, the mask is like prevents your droplet from falling out. Because
We
like I
should
don't think anyone will come and cough or sneeze on you. That's what. Tell me.
Should we wash all the vegetables and the fruits after buying it from the grocery store?
Yes, of course, you need to wash everything. What you can do is like have a salt and turmeric water and immediately wash all the vegetables and then use it, dry it and then use it. Yeah, and also take a
few-
cloth back to the market and even wash the bag. You'll be washing all the vegetables and the bag. What you'll do, like bring the bag and keep it on your bed. That will be the source of infection. So you need to follow. And the chappals, no, I just wanted to say slippers, your footwears, you need to leave outside your house. Please, in Italy, what happened? It was only because of the footwear so many people got infected, because their culture is that they leave their shoes. They just walk into their house with the shoes. But you know, our people don't do that, but still a point to be said.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for all your valuable answers, and it was overwhelming for us. And also, the Fazila, you want to continue?
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, Rana, for hosting the question answer session.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Fazila.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for being so patient with us and answering our questions. It is it's a real honor to have you here today. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. We wish to see you soon.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. All right, my dear audience. Alhamdulillah, that was one power-packed session, very informative. I hope all of us got our answers, the questions that we usually go to Dr. Google for. We had a real-life doctor giving us answers for all the questions and doubts that we have. We women are endless when it comes to queries and doubts and questions about our body and our health. Alhamdulillah, this doctor has cleared it up for us. Of course, we had so many other questions, and I know we don't stop at asking questions when it comes to our health. So Dr. Nikat is going to be available with us. So if any of you have further questions, you can always contact the TBLC or the CSD teams, and we would forward your questions to the doctor. We will get in touch with her for you. Thank you very much for coming in today. Today was day one of Health is Now Trending, the 2 days online event. Tomorrow is going to be day 2. Thank you for coming today and staying for so long and participating in the event. We wish to see you at the same time tomorrow. Be here by 4:30. We will start the event. Tomorrow's topic is going to be as equally important as today's topic. Today was general health. Tomorrow is going to be about mental health, something equally important that we need to take care of about ourselves. Tomorrow's speaker is going to be another highly experienced and talented doctor named Dr. Ramlat. We will be seeing her tomorrow. A special request to all of you, please give us your feedback of today's session. After you have attended today's session, please give us your feedback. You can send an email to the CSD email ID or the TBLC email ID. We are looking forward to seeing all your feedback. I wish to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Mas salama. This is Fazila Fatima signing off.